And good day, everybody. Hi, I'm Walter. I'm the Dutch mentor, and we're back once again for our Smart podcast, where S starts for self-care, M is for mindful growth, A is for adaptive learning, R is for rhythmic operation, T is for a thriving community, and of course, P is for performance. Today, I have a very interesting guest, Nikki Ballou, with me today, who's going to dive a little deeper into the purpose and thoughtful leadership. I'm very excited to have him on. He's been on over 800 podcasts, so he must be adding value all over the world. So why don't we dive right into it, Nikki? Thank you very much for joining me today. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then let's dive into the first question.
Walter, thanks for having me on the show. I'm blessed and grateful to be here. Let me tell you a little bit about my backstory. I'm actually originally an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm a Christian from Iran. When I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran, and there were literally gun battles in the streets near my home. My mom and dad were freaking out. And one day that freak out factor went up 1,000-fold because there was a crash through our living room window, and an object landed next to my feet, and I didn't know what it was. It was a bottle, glass bottle full of liquid, and it had like a burning wick, like a candle in it. It was a Molotov cocktail. My father knew what it was, grabbed it, pulled out the wick, and that's the only reason you and I are speaking here today. He turned the bottle over, and there was a note taped to it, and the note said, "Die, Christian scum," because we were Christian Iranians. And he said, that's it. So mom and dad made a plan. They got us out of Iran. First, we went to Europe, to Greece, in Athens. And then from Athens, we moved to Toronto, Canada, where I now live. Now, I'm sure you can appreciate at the time I was a kid, I didn't want to leave my home or my friends. But as time went on, I could see the nobility of my mom and dad's sacrifice because they left behind everyone and everything they knew for a chance at a better life for me and my two brothers. They took us from a legacy of tyranny to a legacy of freedom. And I believe inside every human breast beats the living heart of freedom. Every man, every woman on this planet yearns to breathe free, to chart their own course, to march to the tune of their own drummer. And if you're an entrepreneur, freedom is the bedrock on which your dreams die or come alive. Without freedom, you can't have free expression and free thought. Without those, you can't have free enterprise. And without free enterprise, entrepreneurship is impossible. So to me, I stand for the men and women who are entrepreneurs, who are those that dare to dream and to believe and to make their dreams come alive, because I salute them for having that courage, and I do what I do in order to help them step forward and live life as the best version of themselves.
So I love what you just did, because I think the audience key takeaway is when we talk about starting with your why, your purpose, that's exactly what you did. You told me a memorable story that hangs on to that Molotov cocktail, that critical decision point of making a change. So I encourage all my mentees to go back and listen to this again. And it's not about the what and how, but it's truly the purpose, right? There's that purpose. Now, how have you translated that into your adult life to live with great purpose, but also take that entrepreneurial spirit that you're talking about and being able to provide for your family?
That's a great question. So my late father was an entrepreneur himself. And when I was a boy, he would always be teaching me, instructing me. It was amazing to be with this man. And he would say to me, "Son, life, son, is about people. Not money, son, people." And I'm 8, 9 years old. I'm like, okay, Dad. And then he said, "Son, even business is about people, not money." And I'm like, "Dad, but don't you need money to do business?" And he's like, "You do, son, but you need people first, because all business is solving problems for people for profit." That man sitting in front of you, that's someone's brother, that's someone's father, that's someone's husband, that's a hero to somebody. That's somebody with dreams, hopes, fears. And maybe someone just like you let them down in life or business. It's your job to restore their faith in humanity, because every man and woman on this planet has days where their self-belief wobbles. And you bringing that spark of belief will turn their wobble into steadiness, will turn into a roaring fire, and put them off into the races. the people I run into, the entrepreneurs I run into, usually have great skill at delivering a result. Okay, they're good at delivering the result of what they do to help people. They just have fear, their mindset isn't strong, and maybe their business skills aren't strong. So they're afraid of being seen as a pushy salesperson or one of those like tricky marketers. They want to be seen as honest because they are honest. And so what we do is, first and foremost, we pour love and belief into people, because people is what it's all about. Business is about people. And I'm into finding awesome people and showing them how amazing they are, how they are a child of God, created here for a purpose and a mighty purpose. And then I show them how they can use thought leadership to stand out so they're not stuck in the sea of sameness. And I show them how to have honest, heart-driven conversations with their fellow men and women to build beautiful relationships and solve problems for people, but from the basis of making a difference for the other person, not do I get my commission, do I get my sale? And teaching people these things allows them to take their businesses from tragic to magic. They go from being stuck in the sea of sameness to being in the oasis of flow and differentiation, which is how their businesses really, really thrive, and they live life as the best version of themselves.
I love, again, I love the passion. And I think what I'm hearing in there is that we don't want to feed a man a fish. So we want to teach a man to fish. It is about putting them out there, right, with great purpose and direction. You know, part of my motto of the service that I run, it's really behavior-based, is that I start off with, we need to love the people that we lead. There's nothing more important to lead with purpose and to lead with love. Now, there's tough love attached to that from time to time, too. But it gets me to that second question. I would like to dive a little deeper into that, because a lot of people get stuck on it. They want to do too many things with too many things, and that doesn't lead to success, right? It's really being the best at something where you can add value and then zero in on that. You talk about thought leadership. So answer the question for me: why does thought leadership matter, and why should you care?
Well, because thought leadership is about being authentic and real. You know, I was on a podcast yesterday, and they said, tell me the difference between an expert, an influencer, and a thought leader. Well, an expert is someone who knows something. They're there to inform you, right? An influencer is someone who's there to, entertain you in a sense. A thought leader is someone who's there to transform you. So the difference between an expert and a thought leader is, an expert is someone who knows something, while a thought leader is someone who's known for knowing something. And an influencer is someone who probably doesn't know anything, but they're really good at making you look and be entertained by what they have to say. And another person that I worked with said to me, an expert is like a cover band, right? While a thought leader plays original music. When you go into life and you bring in your incredible life experience, that life experience is your thought leadership. We have this phenomenal 3-day program where we take a deep dive into you to pull out all the relevant experiences that you've had that have forged you by fire and the lessons you've learned. And we take them and we turn them into intellectual property that you can use to teach, that you can use to transform, and that you can use to make money.
It is interesting view for sure. So, but I've seen that most people struggle with the starting point, right? To get started, but then even more difficult is sustaining, right? Building new habits and behaviors. So where do you think, and make this an actionable item, what can somebody do as they listen to us about the purpose and being a thought leader and, providing for your family? Where can they start, and how can they maintain a rhythm, and how can they bring it into sustainment?
Well, look, I wrote a book called The Thought Leader's Journey, okay? And you can go on Amazon and buy it, but I can give you a link to download a Kindle version for free. This is a roadmap for someone who's never done anything thought leader-like, who maybe even is in a job, to go from start to a thriving $500,000 to $1 million practice. All the secrets are there, and it's free if you take it from this link that I'm going to send you. So I'm just going to drop this link here for you, Walter, in the chat. You can go ahead and share that. And, I encourage you to go pick up a copy of this yourself. But that is the start. You got to start by informing yourself of how this works. But the other thing that matters is you need to be around other people who've done it. Myself, as an example, Walter, 2.5 years ago, I was 55 at the time, and I had my shirt off. I had a pair of jeans, and I saw my gut hanging over my jeans, and I was disgusted with myself because I used to be in really terrific shape. And over a 12-year period, after I stopped being in the health and fitness field, I gained weight every year. So I gained over 50 pounds. So I found an environment with a mentor that knew what they were doing. This fella had put people on bodybuilding stages in their 50s and 60s, on competitions, helped them win. So I hired this guy, and I took his instruction, and I started to be around a community of people that were into becoming really lean, really fit, really healthy, and going on bodybuilding stages. Within 6 months, I dropped 58 pounds. I had a six-pack at that point in time. I went from fat to fit. And all of it was because of the new environment and mentorship I took. If you stick with the same peer group that you're with right now, well, you're going to probably get the same results you're going to get right now. But if you go to a higher level peer group and you go to higher level mentorship, then you're going to get higher level results. That's just how it works. So you need to find yourself a group to be a part of. Now, I understand you have programs that you run and you do mentorship for people. So I recommend that people look into your programs and really consider joining them and being a part of that sort of peer group. We also have a thought leader specific peer group. It's application only. It's, very highly curated. But if you're somebody with a big heart and you want to make a difference for people and you really want to become seen as the go-to authority in your space, then you might want to consider checking out what we do and seeing if you want to apply to be considered for membership in what we're doing as well.
Really good. People, places, and things are determined of, where you will be going, right? You stick with the old people, as you say. I always say, if you're not happy with the current results, you have to go back and gain new experiences, take new actions that will deliver new results. If you're happy with them, they'll be dependent on what you put into it, of course. Leave us with a thought that and an action step that people can take to finish up the conversation today.
Look, if you really have on your heart an ambition to go further and do better than you've done, but maybe life has beaten you up a little bit, and even though you want it, maybe you're not believing it, and you're not believing in yourself. The first thing you need is to have belief in yourself. And if you're not able to believe in yourself, go be in front of somebody who sees your greatness. Borrow my belief, borrow Walter's belief, and use that to run forward toward what you want, toward the life that you've always imagined you could lead. And most important of all, don't do it alone. Join Walter's program, apply for mine if it's appropriate for you, and take action today. Because doing it alone is where dreams go to die.
Yeah. Dream big, act small. And it is the acting part to that dream that often determines your outcome and your destiny. Nikki, great conversation. Thank you very much for joining me today. Grateful that you got to escape Iran and come into the Western world and be able to share your message in an open and free society. Look forward to having another conversation in the future, and I'll certainly check out the links myself. And everybody knows where to find Nikki. Good luck. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon again.
Thank you, Walter.